And welcome back to another episode of Psychic Evolution. I'm Jamie Clark.
And I'm Maggie Clark, and this is the podcast where you discover the psychic potential within to empower yourself and manifest your psychic and mediumship gifts.
And these abilities are so natural, they're supernatural. Today we want to just get into the dimensions beginning to come together. The dimensional blending, as I call it, is going to rock some people's worlds and perceptions. And in this, if we can make you more comfortable, give you some insight as to some of what's going on, that might give you a little bit more of a safety energy, and then you can open up to this and not be too uncertain. I'm very honored and thankful to have had a lot, and I still have a lot of spiritual experiences. But in addition to that, what was it, probably about a week ago, I was sitting there with you at the table and in the backyard. I believe that those dimensions were blending together. I could see it physically, like seemingly outside of me in our backyard. 3 different dimensions came together. I don't know why, what happened, what the trigger mechanism is, or what the benefits are, but it was incredible. And to see, just for me, see the vibrational patterns of energy that each dimension had its own vibration of information connected to it. One, fifth dimension, a 6th dimension, there's a 7th dimension, there's a variety of other dimensions that each dimension has its own vibratory rate and seems just as solid as this 3rd dimension. And nothing's solid. It's all energy, light, frequencies, and vibrations. So the more that we learn to tune into our channels of where we're at, kind of becoming aware of the familiarity, and then feeling when a reality is shifting.
It's interesting you also expressed at that time, Jamie, that they all came together and merged together. Not like they just kind of hung out together and came together, but they unified in some kind of collective field, or maybe a point, or I don't even know what the words are because I didn't experience it, but like you had described it coming together almost like an enfoldment type of energy.
And 3, it wasn't 2, wasn't 5, wasn't 10, it was 3 different dimensions that were brought together. And it was interesting because as I was sitting there looking out in the backyard, I don't know, I could see the outline energy of 3 different dimensions coming together. And as they were all 3 coming together, it's like they came into a point and just blended as a reality. So to me, that was really a very fascinating dynamic, that it wasn't just my mind sight seeing in my mind's eye. I physically was looking out at our backyard, in this case in Prescott Valley, and seeing that dimensional blending. It was amazing.
So what's that going to do for us then?
I think we're going to learn and find out. That's, as I always share the fact to go, okay, what is that action going to create as a reaction? What is the benefits or challenges or whatever the case is? And I think that when we can start to open up and realize that there are more than just one dimension, that we can become functionable in other dimensions and not lose ourselves to it, find ourselves within it.
And when you say benefits or challenges, do you think the multidimensional merging that happened could bring challenges, or do you think it is there to support our journey?
Well, I think it's a combination of both. But in addition, those dimensions, as you and I have experienced, as I've been walking with you with our beautiful fur baby Simba, and in one case, I saw what looked exactly like a human, a physical human, and a beautiful animal, a beautiful dog in this case. And as we got up, there was nothing there. I'm like, it was solid. It wasn't kind of like a wispy, it was solid. So I'm not quite sure what was happening with that, except that you might get some glimpses. You might see some things that in one way you're seeing them very clearly, but 2, kind of like myself, as we were coming back into this dimension, where'd they go? They disappeared. Although they were very solid when I saw them at a distance. And for the dog and the positioning that it was having and showing me, I explained and expressed that with Maggie just to make sure it's a little more validating. And at the moment, she wasn't seeing anything. So for myself, because I always want to question everything, I'm not exactly sure what exactly is going on with that dimensional blending, but it is going to be the catalyst of consciousness for a lot of us in our life experience realities. as we perceive them.
So, in that, obviously, do you feel like this is something that was very specific to your life and your experience and where you are consciously? Or do you also feel like it's happening for all of humanity if we can tune into those vibrational fields?
I think it's a blending of both. One, for my own individualized awareness and what's going on. And two, when this planet, when this world can blend dimensions and in a way become kind of like matrix walkers. You'll be able to know what dimension you're in and how it vibes, those vibrations, those frequencies, those channels.
And I like to compare this to building a pizza, obviously, because we think about dimensions sometimes as leveling up. And that's just part of our culture and part of like how we learn, oh, I got this level and then I'm at this level and then I'm at this level. And really, it's not like that at all. Right? It's really not like that. It's like building a pizza. You have one dimension that's the crust, another dimension that's the sauce, another dimension that's the cheese, another dimension that's the vegetables, and different kinds of vegetables, right? So you have all these different dimensions that are creating something that we can digest energetically. So when we build a pizza, we're building a multi-dimensional energy that we can consume or be a part of or digest in our energy field, because what it does for us is it allows us to then start exploring these dimensions and saying, okay, I can't always be in the seventh dimension or the sixth dimension or the fifth dimension or the third dimension. Like, I would like to be in many of these dimensions at the same time so I could live on Earth, have my human experience, but then know that there is so much more to me than just one facet. I am not just cheese on a pizza, by the way. I want to be cheese and vegetables and everything else as well. I want the whole kit and caboodle. I want everything that goes on that pizza, and I want to eat it, and I want to consume it and I want to digest it and see all of these different nutrients that I can get from these different dimensions. And when these different dimensions like sync up in a unified field like you're describing, Jamie, I do feel like there is a purpose for that. And it's maybe to introduce different dimensions. It'd be like the cheese saying, yo, I brought my friend olives today. Would you like to meet the olives? And I'll be like, of course, I'd love to meet the olives on my pizza. It's like almost like they're introducing their energy structures with each other, but
With
in
familiarity.
a certain,
Yes.
but within a certain field.
And I think being able to navigate that field, that there are so many different dimensions. And what if it's just different designs? Again, as Mag was sharing, some people perceive as fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and it kind of raises. What if it's just another dimension that's at the same level? It's just now a reality that's blending. And sometimes when those blendings are happening, if you're not aware of it, it might be like the circumstance that I saw, which was Maggie and I were walking in this third dimension, and I thought it was third dimensional, a person and a dog. And yet there was nothing there when we got there. So that was very interesting for me. However, both of us were in the same dimension. I was just going interdimensional, apparently. I was starting to see something that may not have been in this third dimension, but was in another dimension that I was seeing clearly because I was tuned in.
And we see this a lot when we encounter aliens, and one person can see them and one person can't. And really it depends on the vibrational match, but also sometimes where you are consciously on your journey. Are you able to tap into maybe the dimensional blending that they utilize to walk through our world and be a part of our world without being noticed or seen or paid too much attention to? And what does that feel like? Because on the heels of this multidimensional reality blending type of thing, you've been having a lot of experiences with aliens and almost a preparation feeling for what is coming. And this ties into that, right?
I'm willing to bet yes. And Chi was just, my master guide Chi was letting me know that that dimensional blending is also part of what we call the ether peaking. Literally, you can bend a dimension almost like a wall. What I don't know what it is, but you could bend it through and look into another dimension, another frequency or channel. It's incredible. But it kind of makes sense, and I appreciate the fact that for me, Chi, my master guide, does try to keep me informed as much as possible in what I can comprehend, so that as I'm having these experiences, one, he's got my back. Two, that I can make the adjustment in any way because I am at least aware, I have an idea of some of what's going on. If you don't have an idea and you start going interdimensional, you're not going to go, what the flagnog? Which dimension am I in? Holy cow. And what if potentially each dimension has its own vibratory rate and that you have your own abilities, your own natural way of integrating within that particular dimension? What if we are multidimensional beings? I share the fact that it was wintertime and I was in an apartment and I was riding my bike. I had my sweats on, my, sweatpants and jacket and all that good stuff. And as I was parking my bike in the apartment and I was walking through the living room and then off to the little kitchen area there and then a little dining room off to the side. As soon as I got to that corner, I looked in at the kitchen and this warmth just washed over me. And physically, like I'm looking at you in the camera here, that it was another me, identical with the physical body, but not the same clothes. The one that I saw in the kitchen that was standing there in only blue shorts, drawing a dish, looking at me and doing this and smiling. And instantly my eyesight for myself went into the other me, looking at me. And when I came back to me, bip, he was gone. I had no choice but to go, I don't understand it. I just experienced it. That was a firsthand dynamic that I didn't understand what was going on, but I did go with it the best that I could. It became a blending of a multidimensional me. She's just sharing the fact that with that eyesight thing, that mine went into the other me, it was a unification of dimensions. However, that dimensional Jamie is seeing that vibrational patterns of energy, I'm able to tap in because I've already now merged and blended that reality, that unification of my soul.
I also feel like some of the different dimensions that are coming together are also going to be introducing new consciousness into our field when we can energetically receive that. Now, remember, part of our process of what you might call enlightenment or ascension or evolution, right? Psychic evolution is that we keep evolving and growing into our gifts, growing into our talents, growing into who we are. And this is a never ending process, guys. Like this is going to go lifetimes and lifetimes, however long, you want to play, right? This is just part of who we are. We are always evolving in our soul as much as in our hearts and being just a human. But actually, when being human, sometimes we need an energetic upgrade so that we can consciously open and things can just get triggered that open us up energetically. And it could be a healing process. It could be a profound experience that happens. It could be feeling energy or tuning into your healing talents as an energy healer. It could be a multitude of things. But when you get those energetic upgrades or breakthroughs, it makes room for new consciousness to flow. And I feel some of this multi-dimensional reality coming together on a pizza type of thing, we'll call it the multidimensional pizza, is there so that we can start exploring it in a way that feels safe. I feel like also part of what is going to start opening up with this is more telepathic communication. I also feel that telepathic communication is going to start by understanding things from a different perspective, because now everything tastes like cheese or everything tastes like a vegetable or everything tastes like crust. But when it all comes together, it tastes like pizza. And you're like, whoa, I never thought I could taste this all together and appreciate every little ingredient, but also feel like how amazing that is when it does come together. And so as we bake a pizza, and we evolve consciously, we want to think about how those ingredients are talking to one another. How is the cheese talking to the crust when it melts and gets all crispy on the edge? There's a conversation happening in your mouth right there, right? With that cheesy crust. I'm telling you, it's good stuff, right? So when we think about that, there's conversations that are happening. There's communication that's opening up because they're now coming together in new and different ways. And however they're cooked and what temperature they're cooked on. And that would be your energy field, right? And the energy that you're aware of. That has an effect on how that pizza is going to taste, because if you throw it in the freezer and you take a bite, it's not going to taste the same as if you have it hot in an oven in a different energetic frequency too. So your personal energy can harness or can bake these pizzas or freeze these pizzas or do whatever they want with these pizzas, but they can be a co-creator of how we experience those realities coming together as pizza.
And kind of using the analogy of pizza, it should bring us up a great point is what if each, like the pepperonis are one dimension, the cheese another dimension, the sauce is another dimension. What if by blending all of those dimensions together, you create a dish that, like the pizza will physically nourish the physical body, the pizza multidimensional will kind of nourish the metaphysical body, the energy state of who we are. And being able to do the best we can to understand where we're at and what ingredients are in that pizza, what dimensions are coming together, can give you a whole new taste of life, a whole new way of processing and integrating realities as we perceive it. And it can certainly be a very big positive blessing. It does not have to be the challenges. So in this way, realize that this is the tipping point of consciousness for this planet. So you're going to see a lot of major shifts in a way that a lot of the times it's the mental and emotional. How will people adjust to a change in consciousness? Can they live with it, integrate it, or is it going to stop them? So again, it's just an individualized aspect, and it will be each of us having our own connection to those dimensions. And putting those pizzas together will give you more of what you're looking for and less of what you don't.
And then think about animal communication. Like this happens in different dimensions. Obviously, right? They do hear our voice and can respond to words and things like that, but there is a subtle and beautiful and sometimes not so subtle telepathic communication when your dog looks at you and you're like, oh, you need something now. Okay, what is it that you need? Tell me, right? And then, he looks at you again and you got the message. He sent you that mental image, or
she's talking about Simba.
Right, or you sent or he sent you a mental image, or you sent him a mental image, and all of a sudden he's up and about going, I'm ready for what you're thinking about. Mm-hmm. And so think about that, right? What if we can bring this pizza together, bring these dimensions together, and then what if we can hone in on the parts of the pizza, but more of the wholeness of the pizza as a whole bite, right? When you finally bite into that hot, yummy pizza and you're like, that's the whole bite of consciousness.
One aspect connects with all of those different dimensions being brought together. You can tap into that information, to that energy that's playing. And not only that, you're able to sectionalize dimensions. Hey, you know what? Let's tap into the 6th dimension, or the 7th, or the 9th, or the 10th, or many others.
Absolutely. And so I feel like right now, Jamie's seeing these dimensions merging, in his mind sight and almost in the physical, right? And then he's seeing things that aren't there in the physical, but they aren't there because I'm with them and I'm like, I don't see that. Sorry. That's all right. You tapping into something else or another timeline or gosh knows what, right? Because time's an illusion. So think about this. Timelines are shifting. Realities are shifting, dimensions are merging. This is part of the human upgrade, right? This is part of what we are being activated into in our own psychic evolution. It would be like when you're in your spiritual room working with your clairaudience, and then all of a sudden you see a vision and you hear something and you smell something all at the same time. Like it's pulling all of the senses together for a unification. Now that's just one aspect of it, because then they're also going to be pulling in emotional fields, mental fields, physical fields. And what is the 5th, 6th, 7th dimension? Do we even have a concrete understanding of the vibrational fields that are in those dimensions? We might have pieces. Do we have the whole? Do we understand it all? I think this is part of what we are evolving and growing into, is so that we can be more consciously aware that there's so much more to our potential. Because when we let go of time, when we let go of 3 dimensions, right, and know that, okay, yes, I have a body, I'm going to be in the 3rd dimensional field as long as I'm on the planet Earth, got that, right? Yet, I am also going to explore this concept and this beautiful energy of love. I'm also going to explore telepathic communication with my alien team. I'm also going to do all these other things that can hit in those different dimensional fields. And I'm not going to ask anyone to try to sort that out right now. I think that when you are intuitively guided to understand the dimensions or know which ones you're playing in, you will get those messages, but realize that all of them are happening now. All the ingredients of the pizza are there. Can we see them all? Can we taste them all? Maybe not. But we might have cheese crust and vegetables and sauce, right? But what else could there be? What kind of energy is there that is coming into our field for us to digest, for us to really take into our system? And take in and just kind of let that sit in our stomach. And how are we going to actually be with that energy field? And there is so much amped up energy in our world right now across the board. It's just amped out of its mind. And this is also part of the energy being triggered for us to be triggered into our own energy field so that we can cook that pizza, or we can be a co-creator of the beauty of what we will digest going forward. So just think about that as you're building your multidimensional pizza.
And just like those ingredients, you'll bring those dimensions together. What if each dimension, like we already talked about, is each ingredient that put together can create the entire pizza that can nourish your body? And in being able to do that, you'll get creative with the toppings that you would like to put on, and that you can actually shift dimensions. It's not only just always going to be one certain dimension. There are many, many others. So I think, as the analogy of the pizza, it is multifold, that those dynamics, not everyone likes the same kind of pizza. So if you can have different ingredients, different dimensions that might be more comfortable for you in this way, you'll be able to add those to your pizza of creation.
So if you are wondering what's happening in this multidimensional field, there's a lot happening right now. And I really feel from the bottom of my soul that we're human becomings. We are human becoming who we are, becoming into our potential. We have not yet reached it. I don't think that we've reached it in the way our bodies are created, the way our energy structures are created. I think we're very limited in our perceptual field because culturally of what our belief systems are that we grow into, and we are breaking those patterns. We are really sitting here breaking those patterns and feeling into other spaces and places. And then we get to experience them. We get to be on the forefront of consciousness. We get to be on the tipping point, right? But pushing everyone into the other side of the edge, saying, hey, come join the pizza party. It's going to be a good time, right? There is more than just cheese on that pizza. And I feel like when we really become aware, this isn't a competition to the end. This isn't a race to the end. This is when we are ready, we experience these things. When we are ready, we have the awareness. When we are ready, those dimensions open up before us. And then they come together like this blending that Jamie's describing he saw. Once they are before us, then they come together. Because I guarantee Jamie has experienced the 5th dimension, the 6th dimension, the 7th dimension. I've lived with him for a very long time. I can tell you right now, every other day, different dimension happening, different thing going on, different thing he sees in its mind's eye. I mean, this is a consistent thing in his energy. So for him to see that and know that it's those dimensions, I trust that only because he has dealt with different dimensions, many different dimensions, over the years that I've known him. But again, I don't know if I could point out what the 7th dimension is unless I experienced it and goes like, oh, I know that. I know I've experienced some of the 5th. I know I've experienced some of the 6th. I don't even know about the 7th, but I feel like there's some part of me that has an awareness of it. Who knows, right? When we don't understand, why are we being opened up, or why are we shifting, and why are we thinking about things differently, or why are we like feeling a drive to connect? I mean, these are all things that people are feeling right now in a very potent and I think very profound way. So take your own exploration, see what you feel is merging within you, and then like kind of sit with that, digest it, journal about it, think about it, eat it.
And integrate it. I think that the more that we're able to see those toppings of the pizza, what we're wanting, the more we'll realize that there are other people who enjoy the same kind of toppings. And a lot of times we'll be brought together dimensionally in this way because it's a similar vibe. And when we can learn to kind of transcend, to walk along those dimensions, it won't be fearful, it will be empowering.
And this is what it means to be a matrix walker. This is what it means to tap into the quantum matrix field or the divine creative matrix, whatever you like to call this playground, right? This is the fabric of life and the fabric of all of life, the all that is, was, and will be. And it's all right there. It's all right there for us to integrate. And so if you're feeling these energies open up and you're not understanding they could be different dimensions, be open. And this is where we really go back and listen to some of our episodes. If you're building your spiritual team, if you're connecting with your guides, if you're doing all the work to get a clearer conceptual conversation happening with that telepathic communication as well, because I think that's a piece of these dimensions. I actually think after the fourth dimension, it's probably going to be pure telepathy. You don't even need to open your mouth, which is going to put podcasts out of business, but oh well, right? We still love talking to you.
Yeah. So get the ingredients, put them together, and create a whole new world.
And eat pizza.
Nourish that soul. It's all one.
Have fun with your psychic evolution. And don't forget, there's also gluten-free crust.
Yeah, one of the dynamics, for some reason for myself, each dimension that I connect with has its own scent, its own smell. And I'm like, I still don't understand why that is, except that I'm getting a reference that if it smells a certain way, it's a certain dimension. So it's fascinating, and we'll definitely keep you posted as things are integrating more effectively. But again, doing the best we can to find ourselves within life and that life within us and begin to live, not just exist.
So have fun with your psychic evolution, open your senses. And if you feel like this podcast could benefit a friend, pass it on. We love it. Thank you for tuning in today, and we'll see you again soon.